I tampered with the evidence in open court, and I didn't do it as a trick or a tantrum or a power trip. I did it because I was a judge in a city that loved clean endings more than true ones. And that day, the only way to keep a man from being crushed beneath a story designed to satisfy headlines was to tilt the table long enough for the truth to crawl out. The defendant was Marcus Hale, a contractor painted as a vengeful loser after a councilman was shot in his kitchen. The state had a handgun in a plastic bag, a motive you could summarize in a line, and a detective who glowed with institutional credibility. The gallery had donors and developers sitting with folded hands and calm eyes that said they already knew the ending. That morning, an anonymous letter had appeared on my chamber's desk with a sentence that hummed like a vein in my ear all day. Follow the shell companies. The real killer is sitting in your gallery. When the bailiff placed Exhibit C, the handgun, on the evidence table, I saw a small tear in the seal. Chain of custody is the quiet law that keeps loud lies out, and a torn seal is a fracture jurors can understand. I leaned forward to examine the bag and adjusted it just enough for Hale's tired lawyer to notice. He did, he objected. The prosecutor flushed, and the jury learned that the linchpin was a hair more human than the state wanted them to believe. I left the gun in evidence. The law likes continuity. But I had cracked the story's glass. That night, a journalist named Claire Rousseau met me in a cafe and confirmed what the letter had hinted. The dead councilman's finances were a river feeding 3 companies owned on paper by a developer's family, and that developer, Marcel Duval, watched Hale's trial from the second row like a man checking on his investments. Once a judge decides truth matters more than the script, the furniture of the courtroom becomes a set you can't unsee. The prosecutor asked me to be steady for the city. The detective, Renard, recited, "sealed," like a hymn while his thumb twitched. My clerk, Nadia, found her drawer ajar and juror addresses disturbed. Juror number 6, a man named Mercier, slipped a note under my bench that read, "They're watching all of us." Claire fed me filings and boards and names that sounded like ordinary riverstones until you turned them over and saw the slime of kickbacks underneath. When the prosecutor's brakes failed and his sedan burned on the courthouse steps while a car with a dented bumper idled across the street and watched, I let the day proceed and permitted Councilwoman Elodie Bernard to say out loud, for the record, that everyone understood the donors routing cash through Elise Holdings were Duval by marriage. The detective insisted he'd never seen a connection, and then, under pressure, admitted he'd written "D. Proffer sealed" in his log and somehow decided the district attorney didn't need to know. Internal Affairs took the back row in suits without badges and waited for the moment. Duval visited my chambers with a cream envelope and the kind of offer that makes decent men consider cowardice. Declare a mistrial for juror intimidation, and the clerk lives, the juror drives home, and your career lands softly. He called my career highly inappropriate with a smile that never moved his eyes, and when he left, I called Internal Affairs and then did the unforgivable thing that saved 12 lives. Click on the link to get the full video down below.